Hello and welcome to the Bones Horror Podcast. This is episode 94, and again, we're revisiting The Conjuring from 2013. What have we been up to this week? Not a lot. I don't really know what to say about this week, really. Not a lot's been going on at all. Tomorrow, though, my current employers came to me earlier and said, Kev, we need to do an emergency lighting test at the university. Needs to start about 4 o'clock and finish about 7
in the morning
at night.
Okay.
So I said, yes, I can do that for you. I don't mind staying on, but I will be going to see Smile at the cinema at 4:30.
Mm-hmm. Were you that specific?
When I get back, yes. And when I get back, I will do, because basically you knock the lights out and they need to last for 3 hours. They need to give you 3 hours coverage without dying. So there's a 3-hour gap. So I thought, well, they're paying me and my colleague. We're going to watch Smile tomorrow night. So that's what I'm intending to do. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Ewan. Have you?
No, not yet. I'm intrigued about it. It looks a bit like a kind of a sort of mainstream ripoff of Ari Aster, to be honest. But I'm still curious about it. It looks.
You don't want to see it? Are you being negative about this already, Larry?
Because it looks shit.
No, it's meant to be really good, Larry.
Yeah, I read one comment that was like,
God.
I read
you
one
got a woolly
comment.
hat on tonight. What's going on?
I
Are you
do,
skiing?
I do.
What are you
I
doing?
changed.
You've just come back from skiing?
Yeah, I'm going skiing right after. I'm preparing. No, I don't know. It just looks like I read one comment that was like audience members couldn't stay and watch the rest of it because they were so scared. I'm just like, fuck off. I'm just like,
audience shit their pants.
It's I don't know. Fair enough. If it's good, whatever.
I'm getting paid to go and watch it tomorrow night, so happy days.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Do your employers know that?
Yeah,
you
told them.
Yeah,
told them.
Okay.
I said I'm not going to hang about. I'm going to go over to the cinema, watch a film. Obviously,
to be fair, I do the same especially if it was the same kind of thing. If you're getting paid for it, you get to get a nice little gap. Go to cinema. Yeah.
Trying to smile, Larry. Dan's just.
That's a really good pun. Nice.
Love it.
I will try.
He's cold. He's been skiing.
I went up to the peak.
The peak of Portsmouth.
Took me days.
So that's what I'm doing. I was quite pleased with that. So I'm looking forward to watching Smile and getting back to you all on how good it was, or not so good. And I'm loving. I watched *Malignant* last night, so we're going to talk about that in a bit, Larry, because I know you like it. So, Jess, what have you been up to this week?
Working. That's about it, really.
So pretty much the same as me. There's not too much interesting
2 weeks
going
left
on.
of the job, and then new job.
Yes.
So.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I know we had to chop and change things last night. It's a bit rubbish, but we won't go into that. But we needed to, and that's fine because we're all here tonight now, so that's great. Yeah. Ewan, what have you been up to?
Yeah, well, it was an interesting one last week because I had to go back home because my parents very honorably have taken in a Ukrainian family. Ukrainian refugees, essentially, but my parents decided to go to France, sort of a few days into this happening. So they sort of got me in as a kind of caretaker of the house in a way.
And you do speak fluent foreign as well, which helps. Yeah.
Luckily, it was a mother and a daughter, and the mother speaks perfectly fine English, so that was all okay. But I was very nervous about it before because I'm as Lawrence and I assume all of you know I'm quite an anxious person when it comes to these kinds of situations, so I'm almost the worst family member to employ in this situation. But it turned out it was actually all okay. They were both very nice and they kept themselves. I kept myself to myself, and it was all in all, it was actually quite a nice experience. So I had to go back home for that, and it was okay. But I'm glad to be back. I like my own space, to be honest.
That's
So
a lovely,
sounds
really
like
nice
a
thing to do.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Although it's for some reason, as you mentioned about the anxious part, I just imagine that just sounds like a Hulu original series. Just what is Ewan going to do?
Will he go and speak to them today, or will he just leave it? Will he stay in the living room?
Tune in Wednesdays, 9 o'clock.
Did you sleep all right, or was you like waiting for the door to open, or
No,
you weren't worried, or
no? I mean, like the first night, it was like, oh, there are just a couple of strangers staying in the house, and they're right by me. But I wasn't that worried. They didn't look threatening in any way. I hope I'm not insulting them there, but they didn't. They just didn't. they were very nice people, and it was fine after about a day. Mainly because my parents did all the research on them, so I just trusted them that they knew what they were doing.
To be fair, we have some refugees staying in one or two of the houses around here, which I've only met like once in passing, but can understand it's probably such a weird time. For them and stuff. So I imagine it's anxious on both sides.
We have
absolutely.
Football. Yeah, we have a young lad at football. He's only about 8 or 9. Come over, staying with the family. Bless him, on his own.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Terribly so. Okay. So, what is that jumper you're wearing?
Oh, who are you talking to? Me?
I'm talking to Larry now.
Oh,
I'm trying to work out.
It is my Exorcist, the scariest movie.
That is nice.
Nice.
I picked it up for so cheap in Primark, if you can imagine.
Oh, in Primark, really?
In Primark.
Wow.
I mean, it must be like in all the Primarks now. But I was in London recently, and when we're in Hammersmith. And we had a little look in, we had to, because obviously we're going away, we wanted to check like the whole phone thing, because like now being out of the EU, it's all changed a bit about roaming charges, but that was all fine. And then we just saw one of the Primarks, and we just thought we'd have a stroll in, and literally as I was looking at all the men's section, I just happened to see this, and the imagery alone, I was like, what, they have an Exorcist hoodie? So I was like, yep, now
I'm gonna have to go and have a look.
I bet someone like, I don't know, like there was like a regular Primark hoodie on the thing, and then someone thought I could just take that and just wear so he replaced his hoodie with that one.
Yeah, you imagine it's not even from Primark. Wow.
Yeah. Is it expensive?
What was it expensive?
You don't have to tell me how much, but like obviously
I don't mind. It was like a tenner.
Really? Really good.
Yeah, it was a tenner.
Yeah.
They did some really good stuff. There's one, I don't know if you can see, I'll try and do it. It's there. That's another one I got, like, because obviously like where it's going into winter, it's just like a big fluffy, like, I guess like jumper jacket.
You look really cold, so I presume you got the heating off, and you do look.
This isn't a skiing hoodie. It's just a hoodie again from Prologue. I'm bigging up Prologue.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to pop in Primark. Are you going out in town soon, Jess?
I'm working now till Saturday.
Oh, I need to go and have a look. You should have come with me, because I don't want to go and Primark on my own. I don't know if I'll ever come out again.
Yeah, I've got some Halloween t-shirts and stuff.
It's like when you go in there, people just throwing clothes everywhere.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. Like the amount of times I've seen, like even when recently there are people that walk around with like, they don't get the basket, but they'll walk around with like loads of clothes in their hands, and then they make a decision of like, I don't want this, and they just throw it on a like.
I'm not sure if I've ever experienced Primark before.
It's different. It's different experience. No. It's not like a normal shop.
Make it a big event. We'll go in.
Yeah, make it a Primark party.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I got my GoPro today as well. We could take it to Primark, Larry. That could be fun.
Ewan's first time.
That'll be our 100th episode.
Yeah. Experience the horror.
Kev buys a T-shirt in Primark. The
Stay
horror.
tuned for it's like stay tuned for later when we go back to Primark at night.
At night, yeah.
But no, I imagine they're going to release like more horror stuff because that was my first thought was like, oh, Halloween.
Amazing.
This is probably like the start. So if they're doing more
maybe,
hoodies like this, because I love the artwork on it and the colors on it are pretty good. I think actually it glows in the dark as well.
That's Andy.
Yeah.
So I can see.
Yeah, you can see in the dark.
Okay. So should we get on to The Conjuring?
Sure.
This episode is actually sponsored by Nick Cave. I'm really so like this is Nick Cave's episode. So 2030, directed by James Wan of Saw and Dead Silence was a favourite of mine, and the amazing Malignant. So this film is kind of set in 1971, which is even before I was born. Starred Patrick Wilson as Ed Warren and Vera Farmiga, as they say it, as Lorraine Warren. Had a budget of 20 million and a box office of 319 million. What are we thinking on the Rotten?
I think people really like this film. So I'm probably going to go it's weirdly specific, but 79%.
Okay.
I was actually going to go 72.
Oh,
so
yes.
84.
Oh,
Ooh.
well done, Jess.
86%, and I would totally agree with that. Absolutely. It's got to be 8.5 all the way. So we'll get to that later. So this really is a favourite of mine, and I will go into why in a bit, but I'm getting the feeling maybe not so much for Larry. So is it a first watch for anyone? I doubt it.
No, I think it's my third watch of this
Something
film.
like that for me as well.
It's about my 10th, I think. I would
Same.
say. I've written some bullet points, but I'm interested to see what you guys think. Some bullet points I've written is Bathsheba. Is that how you say it?
Bathsheba, yeah. The main villain, the main witch.
One of the key elements of this podcast at the very beginning was wardrobes, and this has wardrobes.
It does.
So if you go to our Twitter profile, that's what it's about, wardrobes.
Yeah, just don't go near the wardrobe. That's always a good
Stay
advice when you're watching a
away.
horror film. Just
Yeah,
stay away
it's
from
not the same as Narnia. Don't get
yeah. Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. To be honest, I wouldn't go into Narnia anyway. It's not great in there, especially when it's
No.
during the long winter. It's just.
I mean, Larry's dressed for it, so.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love this as a running thing.
Yeah. Buy a nice hat, thinking.
I can see why Larry's
Meme.
done this now. He's just put
Meme.
together the wardrobe, Narnia.
Yeah.
I was watching it in all my gear, just like snuggled up, just like, ooh.
Have you got Larry? You've got a pair of skis on. Can you show us?
Yes, just let me show you my skis.
Not
You got a heat? Is that a heater on your bed? Because
A heater?
Is that a heater on your bed?
No. It's the opposite. It's a fan.
Oh, okay.
It's a fan.
So what do I like about this film? Everything about it. I think they're a little bit of a lull in maybe horror for a while, and this I think made it a bit more mainstream. I think it put it back out there for me. It certainly woke me up again to horror because maybe I twitched off for a bit. 2013, maybe I had. And to be honest, I love everything in the Conjuring series, even the Nun, and I don't care what anyone says. I went to the cinema with my dad to see that, who'd never seen a Conjuring in his life, any of them. And he did say, Kev, what the fuck's going on? And he watched it. But he came and see it with me. So look, I'm a massive lover of the series. I like James Wan anyway. I don't think he really produces a crap film or directs one. The last horror film I went to with my wife was Saw. Again,
that was the last time. Yeah.
I kind of said it was maybe a family film, and it wasn't
Did
at
you
all.
not see the certificate? I mean,
Not even a
no.
poster.
But the thing was, I do try, like Smile. I don't know anything about it. Okay, well, when I go and see that tomorrow, I really try and limit any trailers. If I'm going to see something, I don't want to know anything about it. And I think Saw was the same. And actually, you know, I don't like films like that particularly, like that kind of violence. But I think it did a great job. Dead Silence is amazing. I think with Matey from True Blood in it.
The puppet one.
Yeah, you got Matey from True Blood, who's kind of the other actor was in The Northman.
It stars one of the Wahlberg brothers, doesn't it? It's like not
what in Dead Silence. No, I've Saw. I think it did. Didn't it? Or was that later Saw?
No, in Dead Silence.
Dead
The guy who's always shaving his
that Marky Mark? No, it's not Mark. It's the other one, isn't it?
Yeah, he's one of the brothers.
Yeah.
He's
like,
on the block.
Yeah, isn't Donnie in Saw as well, or in one of the
Saws?
Saws?
I believe so. Like bloody Wahlbergs, they're getting about.
Yeah, don't see much of Donnie though. Don't see much of Donnie.
No. Although the actor who was in Dead Silence is more in like comedies now, I see, rather than like I don't know if that was maybe like a one-off sort of horror thing, but I thought it was pretty good.
Is that Donnie? I don't know. He's quite good though. He looks like a cop.
I mean, you see Mark in sort of comedies. I mean, you see him with like Ted and stuff like that. And I think he's better in those roles. I mean, his best role I think is probably in The Departed, but I think all the other roles which he has had,
not Transformers,
been nearly as good. I haven't seen Transformers 5 or whichever it is.
You and it was Transformers 4.
Oh, sorry.
Planet of the Apes. Did he do that as well?
Yeah, he was in the Tim Burton. Planet
yes.
of the Apes,
Sorry, I was about to say the new series. I was like, Jesus Christ, was he?
No, just Tim Burton. 2002, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll just jump in on what you guys have got to say about it because when you start slating it, I'm gonna jump in there.
So I mean, should we go into the plot of this?
The plot. What is? Yeah, come on, Ewan, give us the plot. You're great at this. You're much better than I am.
Yeah. So it starts off weirdly. I mean, it starts off weirdly for me. I mean, is it?
Sorry, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
You?
I know it's coming.
Do you know that bit I do at the beginning? So let's do that.
Okay.
Two paranormal investigators help to free a family terrorized by a demonic force inhabiting their farmhouse.
Allegedly.
It's not their farmhouse, is it? Oh, yeah, fam. So I've done that bit. So Ewan?
Do you want a clip? Do you want
Yeah, let's mix it up, Jess.
This is,
hang on. So you got a lady.
The best part.
Hang on. What's going on here?
So,
there's a bit of a smell
there's
there.
The wardrobe. There's
the wardrobe.
It's not a haunting.
It's not a haunting. What is
not
it
a haunting. It wasn't a haunting.
Oh.
It's a conjuring.
Whoa.
Oh, I get it. Oh, it's not a possession.
No.
Yeah, that's cool. Because there was a lot of yeeting in that.
Nice.
There was a lot of yeeting. Is that what they call it now?
I guess so.
People getting yeeted about.
I mean, no, you're not wrong. She did get yeeted.
She got yeeted. I don't know what that means, but my kids said they got yeeted, Dad. So brought that to the table.
Yeah.
So it's a film of paranormal yeeting.
Yeah, paranormal yeeting.
That's a great title. Please trade.
Oh, can we make that?
Paranormal yeeting. No, that's the 100th episode. That's what it's called. Paranormal yeeting.
Paranormal yeeting. Love it.
I love that.
Fantastic. Wow. Born here. If you're watching right now, you just saw something born straight out.
Yeah. So I mean, this film is interesting because again, it's the third time I've seen this, and it's funny how much I've forgotten, which we'll probably get onto later. But it starts off in a sort of prologue with the main sort of, they call themselves demonologists, or the man does. The woman is mainly a clairvoyant.
The Warrens.
The Warrens, who are based on Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are real paranormal investigators, demonologists. Yeah. Yep. So it starts on a prologue of the Annabelle doll, which then develops its own prequels eventually in the Conjuring series. So something that possessed a sort of devil or demon is possessing the doll. A funny thing with this prologue, and funny thing with ghost stories in general, is that I feel like a lot of them are kind of descending into sort of almost those reality shows that you see about, like, Most Haunted Live, or There's a Ghost in My House that you sometimes see on Gogglebox or something.
Yeah.
And And it sort of descends into this thing where I'm just like, I'm not scared of a ghost when they don't do anything that's that threatening, if you know what I mean. And I feel like all Annabelle does is say, "Miss me," and I feel like that's, to me, that's not very scary because she's not doing it. She's just like turning up like wherever they go.
If I will give the film one good point, is that, and I think I've mentioned this before on a previous podcast when we've spoken about this, is that I don't mind the prologue, because the prologue actually, with the true story of what people said happened, as much as they changed the doll, I was like, oh, yeah, no, I've heard that story many a times. I've heard the Annabelle story. Oh, okay, they've done it exactly how, there's no moving doll in the background in a shitty CGI thing, or like crap where the doll's head is spinning. I know that happens later, which, yeah. But with the prologue, I was like, okay, they've changed the doll to make it look creepier. But I was like, fine. I was like, cool. Maybe we're going down a route where it will do the true stories. And then you get a minute later and you're like, nope.
Yeah, it's done really cool. I mean, I thought this film started doing things very, very fast. So it's pretty much everything's covered in the first 10 minutes. So you've got the Annabelle doll, which cuts to Ed and Lorraine Warren lecturing on ghosts, basically, of what they're doing, which makes me really depressed about what the American education system must be like. Because as a person who is very, very skeptical about any kind of ghost or spirits or religion or whatever, I find it very, I don't know, a bit weird. This couple, this married couple, sort of lecturing on, but basically on the assumption that ghosts actually exist without any sort of evidence or sort of. Well, I'll get onto later, but the sort of so get to the lectures, and then you get to the big family of, I think, what is it, 5 girls or 7 girls or something. And they go into this house which they managed to get for the cheap. This big house in Rhode Island, and then gradually you realize that the house is haunted by some sort of demonic possession, and the mother goes to one of the Warrens' lectures and says, "Can you help us out? We've got ghosts in our house," basically, and it goes on from there. Interesting thing about this film, watching a third time, is that the number, and I know it's allegedly based on a true story, and it's embracing all these things that ghosts are up to and stuff like that, and it's going into the lore of that that most people have heard. But I just felt watching it, the first 10 minutes, there's like it's like they're checking off a massive checklist of ghost horror film cliches, if you know what I mean. So you're going sort of like massive house they managed to get on the cheap, fine. Dead dog, done. Pigeon flying into the window, done.
This is everything I want in a movie.
It's just,
it's just an. I feel like, I don't know if this is what you're saying as well, but I feel like it's a trope that's done so much that when you see it, I don't know, it doesn't add anything new.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I will say about this film, which
what do you want to happen, Larry? Like a couple of penguins at the side of the house.
I would love
that. I just think that, and I'm happy. Like, this will probably be a comment that I say a lot throughout all of these Conjuring films, is that for me, we can. I just think, and this is trying to be as critical as I can without being over the top on it or anything, but I just think that there was a missed opportunity, because I would have much preferred a kind of psychological, really in-depth film about, like, oh, is it ghosts? Or is it this family who are trying to get something out of it? Or is it that they truly believe this, and having it like switch perspectives a lot on, like, one minute we're thinking, oh, it's ghosts. Next minute we're thinking,
would it have been as popular though, going down that route?
But this is the sad reality with horror, and not just with horror, but it's with other films as well. And again, this is just my opinion, but I find that sometimes, I think a lot of the time, and I think you are correct, would it have been more popular? I don't think so. But the harsh reality is like, yeah, if you're looking at it in numbers of a box office of like money, you're gonna go down that road, which is not a crime, but it's like
No.
a missed opportunity. Whereas I would have much preferred a story that really kind of delved into like the psychology of it, because a lot of these stories, you know, especially with the second one, which I won't go into much now, but with the second one, that's a story that like I used to hear as a kid, and
Yeah, me
I used to
too.
be shit scared of it, thinking like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I used to see all the pictures, you know,
Yeah.
she flying across the room. And I would, and still would love it if there's a film that explores the different. I know there was a series that was pretty good on that one, but I just feel like when they start doing
They're-
certain tropes, when
The
it's like
good
let's
series.
like in the first one, there's a scene where like, you know, Lorraine Warren's outside, and yes, she was obviously we can't say it was completely true, we can't say it's completely false, don't know, but there's a scene where obviously she is clairvoyant, and they're building on that, and she walks outside, there's a tree, and it's that typical horror moment where she's like, oh, I can sense something, and then 2 seconds later there's legs hanging behind her, and it's like, oh my God, this is the tree the witch hung on. And it's like, okay, so you're just telling me this did happen. And you said it earlier, James 1, and I completely agree with you. James 1 with Saw, and I think, because I agree with you, I'm not into those sort of films either. Like, I won't put them on openly and be like, oh, it's a torture film. Amazing. I get kind of a bit bogged down by them. Like, there's no story. But I think Saw did such a good job because it had a really good story with a nice twist that it made up for. Like, it was a nice balance of, oh, God, you don't want to be in this scenario, but there's a really good story that we're trying to consistently guess of what's going to happen. This, to me, feels like a producer went, okay, there's this true story. James, you've dabbled in horror. You want to just fucking go at it, you know? Like, here's the makeup department. Make a creepy witch, you know. Have a scene where it's horrible jump scares, where it's not scary, and you're just there like, oh, there's the ghost. Like, there are so many scenes of that where it's that conventional horror where it's like build up, build up, build up, false scare, the real scare, and it's like, oh, if you do it once, that's fine. If you do it twice, it's like, If you do it throughout your whole movie, it's like you just want the cinema to be like, bah! And it's, and it's just
interesting.
not scary.
It's also because I found that I didn't find it too scary at all. However, I will say something good about it, because I feel like I should. I did appreciate that it didn't look the same as your bog standard horror movie.
It's shot very nicely.
It's shot very nicely, and they're very memorable shots. And I do like the sort of, I don't know if it's a James Wan thing or if this is particularly common in a lot of horror movies, but it's the kind of it's like a wide shot where the character is in focus and the ghostly thing is out of focus. In the background, and I quite like that, and it happens with the wardrobe and the clapping the hands thing, which again I think is quite an effective device, even though it's a bit of a cliche, but I thought it was quite effective.
Well, well, building upon just what you said, I will say, like, this is definitely my favorite one of all of them. That's happily hands up in the air say this is my favorite of them, because as much as I think it is very predictable, and it's like, you know, it tries to ironically riff a little bit on The Exorcist with using tropes from that, which I think are done way better in The Exorcist. But I will say that this one, when I finished it, I was like, yeah, okay, predictable, not maybe my top pick, but I wouldn't, if someone said, oh, I liked it, I wouldn't go, oh no, this is shit. I would go, oh, it's not for me. Whereas the follow-ups, I would just like, let it die, just kill it, kill it.
But also, I mean, when you were, I was interested about what you were saying about, like, you'd have preferred it if it was more psychological. I was thinking a similar thing, but it was interesting with. I was trying to determine what irks me about this film, and actually Conjuring 2 to a certain extent, and it's the anti-skepticism, which I don't really like that much. And it's and you know, I understand in some ways it can be a good device, that because you know, there's the drama, there's the tension, people not believing it, even though it might. I like that in the sort of, you know, in a ghost story that's not based on a true story, in a ghost film that's not based on a true story. I kind of like that aspect to it. But with this, it was like there was no credence given to skepticism, even though it's a very human response. And you can see the characters in it. Like the only people who are skeptical is that sort of weird police bloke that operates the camera, and he's a bit dumb and a bit like, you know,
I like
it's
him.
like, but it's like but it's weird to me because it's like they're treating the skeptical people as the stupid people, and that really annoys me when that, because it's a opinion that does exist among like, you know, people who believe in all this stuff. You know, I'm not saying I put everyone who believes in ghosts into this category, but I feel like there are a lot of people who are like, yeah, but you just don't know everything, and you don't know any, you know, that there's more to the universe, and you know, you shouldn't, and ghosts do exist, by the way, you know, that and that kind of mentality, and it's just like, I feel like that mentality has like seared itself into this film.
Well, yeah, no, but I agree. Like, I think that one thing this film is missing, and I wouldn't even mind moments where they do embrace it a bit more, but I completely agree. What I wanted from this film was similar with the second one, specifically the second one, which is why I prefer the series. And if anyone's listening or watching who hasn't seen that series, watch it, because it does a great job at having that balance. But I wanted the skeptic side. I wanted it to be like, is it the family that just believes? But like the clip we saw, when you see a young girl get yeeted across the room and smashes her head with the hair getting pulled, my biggest thing is, in these films, I'm like, leave the house. Leave. Like, you know it's real now. Leave. And then yet they're like this. They're like, we can't leave because the demon is attached to your soul. And it's like, is it now? Is it? How? What have I done?
Yeah, but it's also a thing where, and I know it's based on a true story, and I respect that, but the problem with keeping too attached to this true story is that it often removes the possible threat. So it's interesting watching this the third time round, knowing that nobody's going to die.
But it's also,
as you said, they just get thrown about, but there's no, like, it was interesting watching it actually after we just watched all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, where loads of people die concurrently, and there's a threat there. Whereas here, you know, again, people get slammed at the whatever, and get carried by the hair, which is, you know, alleviated by just cutting the hair. It's done, easy. And then you know, and then apparently an exorcism can be done by someone who's not a priest, but apparently that is not actually how it happened in real life. It was done via a seance. So you wonder, okay, why did they just put a scene from The Exorcist in there? Then it just it just confused me a lot. And it's also interesting. I mean, just going back by, you know, clearly they're trying to keep to the facts, as it were, was that the Lorraine Warren was one of the main consultants for this film.
She's in
and
the film.
And you wonder why, and you wonder if that's part of the reason why they didn't want to go off script, so to speak, because they didn't want to upset, and they had like religious consultants as well. Also interesting how there was like, I'd never heard about this story before yesterday, but there was a story about Ed and Lorraine Warren, about how they weren't actually a sort of, you know, this sort of idealistic married couple, who are, you know, so romantic and they're so together and stuff. But apparently Ed had a affair with an underage girl. I'm sorry, having a big alleged here, allegedly had an affair with an underage girl, I think in the 60s, who came out a couple of years ago saying, yeah, he did this to me. And apparently Lorraine like sort of allowed it to happen, and, you know, and stuff like that. And you sort of I mean, this story came out, I think, between Conjuring 1 and 2, and they continued to make the film. I'm not saying they shouldn't have continued making the film movies, but it reminds you that, you know, they're very biased towards Ed and Lorraine Warren to the extent that they completely believe in them, or want people to know that they stopped ghosts happening.
But it's like, and adding on to that, just as the last thing, like, I think what's getting to me about these, and it's not just the Conjuring films, it is a lot of these other films that are like, I mean, there is a film that I watched, let's just say recently, which came up and said, based on true events, or inspired by a true story. And I get that some people will argue, oh, it says inspired, it's not saying it's the true story, which admittedly, yeah. And if it's good fun for you and you enjoy it, happily enjoy it. Like, that's exactly what film's for. Not everyone's going to agree, but for me personally, when you're there trying to market your film going like based on a true story, for me, I my brain ticks to, oh, okay, I want to see like some of the evidence that was done. I want to see like what actually happened. How did they go about this? And then when it turns into, in my opinion, a bit of schlock, like horror schlock, where it's, oh, we need to have that scene where there is a demon inside of a main character. And it's like, okay, fine. But where's the true evidence that's documented of that happening? Like, where's the images? Like, you know, the girl getting yeeted. It's like, they had a camera. Where's the video footage? And hilariously, half the time they're like, oh, we saw it, but we didn't film it. And it's like, oh, so it's, you want me to just believe you that a girl got yeeted?
You have to believe.
Yeah. and to me, that takes me straight out of it. Sadly, because with the Annabelle prologue, again, I will happily say I love that prologue as much as I wish they didn't change the design, because that is for me what made it kind of creepy. But
yeah. Can we score this? Can we score this and move on? Jess hasn't said too much, but I presume she enjoyed it because.
No, yeah, Jess, tell us.
Because
go
I know she would have.
I'd be interested.
I'm going to save mine to last.
Mm-hmm.
So
I really like the film.
I know, and I think
jump scares in this film are brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, other jump scares don't usually affect me. I find them too predictable. And this one, I quite like that they, drag it out a bit, and I always find it very unexpected. The only scene I don't like in this film is towards the end when she's going after the youngest daughter, and then they're like, remember when you went to the beach and all your good memories you said you'll never forget. And I was like, oh god, it all comes down to love again.
Love will save you. Remember love.
That's the only bit I didn't really like, because the rest of it, I find myself looking away a lot, and that's why I know a film's good. If I can't watch, then I'm like, okay, this is good.
Yeah. But I do agree. It's definitely like, this is what I mean. The first film is enjoyable, and I think this one is like, as much as I don't like it, I think it knows what it is, and it has fun with the premise. It's just like with the first one, I'd happily just say like it's not for me, but it's after the first one where they just dug a hole, shoved it in the ground.
So what are you going to rate it, Jess? Sorry,
I will give it an 8.
That's a good 8. So Larry, so you slated this enough.
Despite that, I feel like Lawrence might like it more than me. I don't know if that's a good prediction, but we'll see.
I'll be reasonable with the first, because I actually do enjoy it. 5. Oh no.
You frozen, but don't know we.
I'm still here.
There you go. You're back in the room.
You're there. Yeah, you're there.
4, 5.
You in? So am I presuming you're giving it lower than that?
No, actually, I'm right on par with Larry. I'm a 5-2. Because it's a funny one with this one as well, because I did find it entertaining. I didn't find it boring. But it kind of goes against a lot of what I think a good film should be, if you know what I mean. So I think they did well with what they were going for, but what they were going for, I just didn't much like. And in comparison to Lawrence, I feel like if they pushed the psychological stuff harder, that would have made a more interesting film. But to have such a sort of, I don't know, the whole, especially when like mediums come in to ghost movies, I'm really not that interested.
Oh, we should do Insidious.
I don't really like Insidious, but it was the same with, interestingly, a lot of people's favorite film in some ways, or favorite film of the 80s is Poltergeist.
Yeah.
And I'm actually not a big fan of Poltergeist. Mainly because when they brought a medium in, I'm just like, I can't be bothered with this. Every time a medium comes up, it just makes me just want to lie down. But yeah, 5 from me.
I'll give it a 9 then, just to balance things. I love this film. I'm not going to slate it. It doesn't say Kev. It's all down to interpretation.
Yeah.
It kind of
Kev's
delivers.
average is going to equal 10 in a minute.
It delivers.
10 out of 10,
I love
done.
the actors. I love the wardrobe scene. I love the game, the clap game. You know, there's just so much about it that I really like. There are little bits that annoy me, but I've seen it probably 10 times and I continue to do so. And if that makes me a bad person, so be it. But like,
yeah, you're such an immoral person. But like,
so I really like it, and you know, I remember going to see The Conjuring 2 on my own in the cinema, and I loved that as well. And I think that was actually generally quite scary, Conjuring 2, for a lot of people. When I sat in the cinema on my own, people were reacting. So, but yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. It's always on my playlist, and I think it's perfect in
What
many
does that
ways.
equal out to?
We're looking at a 7 really on that, aren't we? So
The thing is, I can accept that for the first one happily, because I think the first one is the most enjoyable. That if you said to me, we've got to sit down and watch a Conjuring, I'd be like, let's whack the first one on. The first one is like the best.
If you're in the chat at the moment, let me know what you think, because there's a few people in there. It's going up and down, but like, let us know what you think of The Conjuring, because I like it a lot. So it's about that time that we move on to Nick Cave's hot pick.
Last week, you and I couldn't do it because you weren't here, and I was in the middle.
So Dan's not in it because it's obviously we're going out at 9 o'clock instead of 8, and in Sweden it's probably quite late. And he did say he was 85, which I don't quite believe. He did send me a message earlier. So he picked The Deep House. Jess, are you ready with that? It's an abandoned kind of exploration vloggers movie. Have you seen it, guys?
Nope.
So I saw it a while ago. I can't remember. It might have been on Internet Plus. But I saw it a while ago. So there's some people they kind of vlog and they go around. I know they go into a mental asylum or something like that, and yeah, the usual. Oh, there's a scary thing. So they go looking at a place with an underwater house. So they have all the swimming gear and that, and they go exploring that, and vlogging. And what they find there is a little on the scary side. Now this movie, it was a few months ago that I watched it, maybe even a year ago, and it's quite an interesting premise, really. You know, that they're out vlogging, they find this house. It's totally sunk underwater. Yeah, and as a trailer,
it does look a bit like we're going to punish some stupid millennials here.
Yes, I will. So they're definitely that modern people, they called it in the log line. So
I will give the film people. I will give the film one thing though. For its premise, I actually was really like excited to watch it because I had heard of this film, but I wasn't too sure of actually what it actually was. Like you hear the title, The Deep House, and it doesn't strike me as like, oh my god. But I like the premise. I thought the premise actually was really good. I like the idea of explorers, vloggers going down to a house that is perfectly preserved under the water, and it's a deep dive horror. I really like that.
Yeah, and it's an odd one. I would recommend you guys watch it if you can. I don't know if is it out. I don't think it's anyone. Is it on streaming services? I didn't see it. I only found it on Internet Plus, and it was good. It was good. Can I give away too much? Not really. Do I say everyone dies in the end? No. Or maybe. So it's one of those films. It's a ghost house film underwater. Is that right? A haunting underwater. Yeah. That is what it is. There is stuff going on there, spooky stuff that they're seeing underwater. Yeah, it's your basic haunted house film underwater. That's what I would say. I don't know what Dan actually rated it. I might have a look if I can find it. But I'd probably give it a 6 or a 7. It was okay. Yeah, the house kind of turns the main character, I think, the guy, a bit possesses him. It's just everything from any haunting film, really. And it's underwater. Is that about right, Larry? I would say. Yeah. So
yeah, no, definitely. I have to ask, am I the only one glitching?
no.
You're not.
Yeah, you're perfect at the moment. You're really good.
Okay, cool. Because that is not what's happening for me.
Oh, really? Is it? Is it just cracking up where you are?
Well, I mean, it seems fine now, but like
your bit of string, all right, on your tin can, wherever you got.
Yeah. I have to oil it up every now and then. Just give it a bit of love. Pray.
Oh, okay. So Dan's given this 6.5 boners, and he is still awake. Yeah. I thought he'd actually gone to sleep, old Dan. So he's given it 6.5. I would probably give it 6. Yeah, exactly, 6 and a semi. So.
Well, also with the chef, all 4 faces behind the chef today, amazing. Exactly.
Thanks, Dan. He is the chef. So next week he's gone for Tumbad. Have you seen that? I have a while ago, and I really liked it. I think it's an Indian film or something along those lines, and it's I can't remember what I watched it. It might have been on Shudder, it might have been on Prime. I can't remember, but it is absolutely amazing, and I would hope you'd watch it, Larry. It's been maybe I think I watched it before I even started this podcast. That's how long ago it was. So I'm pretty sure I haven't spoken about it on here before. But I look forward to watching that again. Maybe Alex, my middle one, would like to watch it with me. So shall we move on to what we watched this week?
What have you been watching?
No, seriously, what have you been watching?
Right. Okay. Let me just get rid of this. Yeah. So we spoke about Conjuring the Beyond a couple of weeks ago. So I kind of visited 2 more of their films from their back catalogue. So the first one, I don't know if I mentioned it before, was are you ready for this? Mutant Vampires, Jess? So it was mutant vampires from the planet Neptune. I had so much fun with this film.
Oh, Neptune as well. What an arbitrary
from
choice.
the planet Neptune. So I had so much fun with this film. From the very
it's a cabin in the woods.
So there's girls in it. There's
Jesus Christ.
There's naked people. There's
a comet, apparently.
There's a something that lands there.
The future.
It's a proper. Do you know those B movies? Well, what I appreciate with films, and I like seeing it, whether they're the best films in the world or whether they're not. I just like seeing someone giving it a go.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you completely.
And we're all on and everyone in life, we're all on a learning curve, and I think with this film, it's taken it somewhere, and this director's getting there, because something I watched before of his wasn't so good as this, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I kind of love this film, and I'd love to have a copy of it. It's fun. It's B movie. You don't know what's going to happen next. I don't think it's that predictable at all. I watched it on Tubi, so if you've got a VPN in the UK, watch it on there. I just had a lot of fun with it. I'm giving it a 7 because it was so much fun. You know, I love Swamp Ape, right? This for me is doing things in films that should be done. It's not predictable.
I will say the Planet Neptune film looks signintly better than Swamp Ape.
Yeah,
I want someone to remake Swamp Ape. Yeah. I want somebody to get like full
the Hollywood budget.
Oh, you imagine how obviously take some stuff out, but like
when we release Paranormal Yeaton or whatever it's going to be called, it's like it'd be up there. But it was directed by Calvin McCarthy, I think, from 7th Street Productions. Now they were the guys that did that. What do we call it? The
Conjuring from Beyond.
From the Beyond thing. I don't think that was as good as this. Now, kind of the main character from that played the vampire, so I don't really see who he is, but I had so much fun with it, and I will be watching it again, and they should be quite proud of that. It was just good.
Where can we watch it?
You can watch it on Tubi. So if you go on the American VPN, and watch it in there, and there's a few of their films in there. Certainly, the one I'm going to speak to next is definitely on there, and I think they got maybe one more, like a paranormal film. But so I loved it. I will give it a 7. I thought it was great. The actors were great. It was just a lot of fun. Cabin in the woods, mutant vampire from outer space arrives, and that is it. And there's some funny scenes in there.
My biggest question to you, Kev, is without spoiling it, obviously.
Yeah.
Does Neptune come into it?
No, not at all.
I
don't think so. Like, I didn't know they were from Neptune. It's telling me in the title here, so I made the presumption that they're from the planet Neptune.
Well, they could be from Uranus. You can never know.
More likely from Kev's Uranus. So, but it's not. I love watching, as you know. I like watching. I love watching films like this. You know, anything low budget.
Who's that?
Oh. I don't know who wrote that. Probably.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. I was going to say, I did wonder why it didn't come up with like a name or anything. I was like, oh my God, an anonymous comment.
No, it's actually that's Jess in the chat. So, yeeting. Can we explain to Dan what yeeting is? Because I only know that from Fortnite. Is that right?
There's an old again, Jess.
Is it where does it come from, Jess?
Jess, I was going to say, like, it was a Vine. You again, correct me if I'm wrong on this because this might have been a repeat. Yeah, is it this bitch empty? Yeah. It was a girl in a school, and she's handed a can, and it's a Vine, and she's like, "Here, have some of this," and then the girl goes, "This bitch empty," and she throws the can with all these students, obviously clearly going to lesson or something, and she just throws it into the crowd, and as she does it, she screams, she goes, "Yeet!" And from that moment, yeeting has been exactly that.
Throwing things.
Well, so yeah, if someone like stuff. Yeah, like if you throw something, if someone falls, if you get like hit with something that's a fat, like a car that smashes into someone, I don't know, people go yeet.
Yeet.
It's funny. I didn't know that.
Paranormal yeet
history. It was funny, like all these things, all these internet things I discovered at university.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I never really experienced them firsthand.
No.
Well, depending on a few, I did have Vine, but I didn't really use it. It was like the pre-TikTok.
Yeah, but there were some, weren't there, that were like, especially I'm just talking about like our uni experience. There were some that like people just knew, like you said it, and it would be like, oh yeah, no, I know that one. But there were others where even I'd be like, what the fuck, and then you'd have to like, I don't know. But yeah, it's or as you say, all the kids are saying it now.
Yeah, but I was in a weird situation where I was like, I wasn't even entirely sure what a meme was at university, and then
neither was I. Neither was I in uni. At the beginning of uni, I was like, a meme, and then but then you had that weird group of, maybe not weird, but you had a group of people who were like, no, they're not called memes, they're called memes, and it's like, shut up.
Bullshit.
It's like, shut up.
Okay. Yeah, I yeeks. Yeah, my kids still say it sometimes, and neeks as well.
That's old.
Yeah, and preeks. And preeks. What's a preek?
What?
A preek.
Not a clue.
It's a nerd and a geek crossed with a prick, so you become a preek. So that's what my kids call me. I don't know if be offended or not, really.
Ollie called our boss a Chad.
A Chad. Oh my God!
I don't know that one. Don't know Chad.
Is that a Chad and a lad?
Chad.
It's basically like what people call.
You didn't call him a
But,
freak though.
no, it's just like Chad is like another one, I guess. Like, this is how I view it anyway. But like people who have like the typical, like, I guess, male structure of like, you
Right.
know, the big chin, and like people Photoshop faces and go like, oh, yeah,
okay.
look at this
I think-
Chad.
I think he meant it more in a way of like he's a cool, chill guy.
Yeah, you know, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
it's meant
like-
to personify like the coolest guy, like, you know, all of that. Like, oh, he's a real Chad sort of. Fuck, just how fucking what I dread the next 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, where are we gonna be in 10 years' time? Like, fuck me. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, oh, you're being a total spelunker dunk. It will just be like, oh fuck, what the fuck is that?
Dunk.
I like that. Spelunker
Oh.
dunk.
That'll
Oh
trend
Christ!
in the...
Oh,
The
yeah, I
next
was gonna
one-
say, Twitter trending.
The next one I watched, because I'm obviously conscious we've only got 4 minutes left. So, A Haunting in Ravenwood by the same director, Cal McCarthy. That starred Eileen Dietz. You know who she is?
I've heard the name, but I don't know if she's in anything that I've seen.
She is the face of in The Exorcist. You know that flash you see?
Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Okay, interesting. That's really
So
interesting.
you may see her. in a
What, for
moment.
a frame?
Yeah, literally.
Yes.
literally.
Now this lady, China Ray shirts. I think that's her. She is. Did you
Right.
see that?
So the old woman, yeah.
So she's in it briefly. The acting's kind of forced in this. It was okay as a storyline. I thought he's amazing, the guy with the beard. I think the couple were meant to be newlyweds.
Oh,
They
that
have-
camera movement.
Absolutely no charisma. So she's amazing, this girl. Him, useless. So
Oh, did anyone see that in the background? I saw. Did anyone
was
see
it?
that little ghoulie?
was that a little ghoulie?
Little
So,
ghoulie in the background. Yeah,
She's great. I was a bit
don't know if
harsh.
he
He
came back.
isn't useless.
You have
at all.
to. I think it's
But,
further there.
I just think they
Oh.
didn't. Yeah.
Oh yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Wait, back.
Yeah, no, from there. But just watch the door. Watch inside. Watch the door. Ooh, ooh.
Ooh.
Yes.
I don't think so. I think
Thanks,
I rolled
Dan.
my eyes at something.
This is a proud moment for me.
someone else said.
Larry is off the shit list.
Yes.
So that's good.
Ever since I got
So,
on that list, I wanted to get up.
This film. So I liked it. There's a guy called Tim Coyle in it. I think he plays the guy in the beard. He's in a couple of movies. I really like him. He's great. The two main characters didn't really show any charisma together at all. I struggled with that a little bit. They certainly didn't seem like a newly married couple. And it's kind of your basic ghost story that he's married her, but his ex-wife or whatever was dead, so he moves her into her house, and there's kind of a ghostly thing going on, and it is quite interesting, but it is quite slow. There's far too much dialogue, and I think again, it seems like I don't know if this one came before the mutant vampires one, but it certainly seems like it maybe was before it. But it's like building blocks, isn't it? That's how I see it. This film is leading to somewhere, and it's getting better and better. It's just pity they just couldn't get that chemistry right between those actors.
It's probably
I
a
think
learning curve, wasn't it? It's
Yeah,
probably
definitely. And she is amazing. I really like her, but he just didn't seem like a natural actor, or where to put his hands, or where to stand, or what to say, and everything seemed a little forced at times. But I'm sure, I'd probably be the same if I was doing it, but I'm not an actor, so
You will be.
I will be. But I liked it, and I like what this guy is doing with his movies a lot. I don't know what else to say really, because I think he's got one or two more, and maybe that what they call 7th Street Productions have got a few more films on the go at the moment, and I want to see more, and I like that, and I like being part of a horror community where there are people out there doing this, because there's not, where would we be if people weren't doing this? We'd have
I 100%
only
agree.
Conjurings and only whatever, and I can really appreciate, and I'd love to do something like that one day. If you've got the money, if you've got the time or the actors or the gear to be able to do that, then great, whether it's not perfect. And that's my thing on it, and that's why I will sit there and I will watch as many screeners as people send me, because some are amazing, others you can see maybe it's just a little showcase for what they're doing. But it's great.
Always it's always good when people. I think we say this a lot on this podcast. It doesn't matter if someone thinks your film's shit or if they love it and they think it's 10 out of 10. I think it's more the fact of there are a lot of people who will go, I want to make something, and they don't. And sadly, it's the fact how if you're out there, even if people are saying your stuff is not good, the fact how you're out there making something, a lot of people don't even get past that first stage. Do you know what I mean? Like and that's with anything: music, writing, filming, I don't know, programming, anything. Like the fact how if you're doing something, even if people are saying it's shit, you could. As we've just said.
I'm a great believer in that, because look, we could all sit at home doing our own thing, but if you actually put it out there, there are going to be people that criticize it, and there are going to be people that enjoy it. And then I always see the positives and try everything. That's why I'll keep watching it all. And these guys are getting there, and I'm sure at some point they're going to make something that is up there with Swamp Ape. So like it's
that's their next
project. Our podcast,
and
I would say our podcast, we it's gone through many stages, and people may hate it and people might like it, but like we're putting that out there, and I love doing that. So it's great. So
imagine if I just, I actually hate this.
Everyone.
But people may hate it or love it or whatever. But
can I go next after you? Because mine's only one.
I have 0.
Have I finished? Have I
zero.
Finished? Oh, the other thing I just want to mention quick. I've been watching cheese rolling on YouTube, which made me laugh.
Cheese rolling is actually very entertaining to watch. Cheese. Is that the one where they chase the cheese?
Get the cheese rolling off. Yeah. Come on, let's do it. Jess, please get the cheese rolling off.
So I need to go because I've got someone outside of my flat to pick me up.
Oh, you go.
Go.
Yeah. Okay. I'm staying at Shane's because after.
Get him in.
Oh yeah. Sure.
I'm not staying in my flat now.
Big Shane.
No. Yeah. Fair enough. Well,
so Jess is going now on the podcast, so there'll be no cheese rolling videos.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gutted about, because I think that would have been really entertaining as part of the podcast for anyone watching cheese rolling. Should we explain what it is
for next week? Just insert a clip.
Cheese rolling. Yeah.
Started with the cheese rolling thing, but put the audio Kev over it. Get out of my room.
Yeah, we'll put that on next week. Thanks, Jess.
We're Jess. See you later.
If I leave the studio, it'll be fine, won't it?
Yeah. Trust me, take it from
experience.
Take it from experience. Take it from experience. Jess. If you get kicked out, you're fine.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Jess. She's part-time on the podcast, so she doesn't enjoy cheese rolling like the rest of us.
It's that thing you got, Kev, where you lull me into a sense of security and then you come out with something that's like utterly bizarre.
And the ironic thing though is that as soon as you said cheese rolling, usually my brain would be like, what? But my brain instantly went, I know cheese rolling. I've watched the tournaments of cheese.
Can we explain what cheese rolling is?
Isn't that a West Country thing? Isn't that something that happens?
Cheese rolling. And hopefully we're talking about the same things. To be hilarious if we're not. But cheese rolling is where they get a big circular bit of cheese.
Yeah.
And they roll it down a hill. And it's whoever can either beat the cheese or get the cheese. I think if you can grab the cheese, but if no one grabs the cheese, because the cheese admittedly goes very quick. If you're first over the line, I'm pretty sure that is considered
but these hills
as well.
Are pretty steep, aren't they?
Yeah, no, people hurt themselves badly.
Yeah, I think I've seen like a clip of it, but are these cheese are these big bits of cheese?
Yeah, they're big.
I-
Like
big
they're
roll.
about-
Are they
Big
are they
rollers cheese.
covered? Are they covered?
yeah,
in
yeah,
stuff?
yeah. So it's like, so
Right.
basically, people have gone to like
They got
whether
wax
it's
on them, haven't they? Or
yeah,
something?
they've got like they go
Like
to a shop.
baby bells.
Imagine
adult bells.
imagine a
Yeah.
huge baby bell, and they literally get it and they let it roll down the hill, and then everyone runs for the cheese. But you just see
Yeah.
people flying down the
Yeah,
hill, like,
yeah.
and you think to yourself, like, surely that person's broke their leg. And at the
Yeah,
end of it,
yeah.
they're covered in mud, and they've got a huge smile, like, yeah, I took part in the cheese event, and it's like, great, as long as you're not hurt.
Oh, brilliant! Love it.
I only have,
Ordinary. I've
yeah.
done mine. Yeah.
I only have one.
Go
I watched the most recent episode of The Rings of Power,
Oh,
and I actually have to give it a huge, like, I can't go into it because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's not. But
right.
there was a point, because me and Rio were watching it, and we really enjoy it. We really do. But we were both saying, like, they've teased a lot, but they're not doing a lot.
Yeah.
And there was a point where with certain storylines, we were like, there's still one storyline we're hoping next episode will at least start to show itself a bit more. But with this episode, I think our worries were completely dampened, because not only was the action great, there's a lot of action. I guess this would be called the action episode.
Yeah.
But the ending of the episode, it was something where I just thought, oh, that is great. Like, what a great addition. But also, it answers a few questions if you're a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. Now, I know I've seen some people already take to the internet straight away and be like, oh, that's not what Tolkien said. And it's like, okay, but the fact of the matter is that this series is still keeping in line with characters and stories. And yeah, I just was really impressed by it. I would highly recommend it.
It is an impressive episode, and probably the best episode so far of that season.
100%.
I'm still I don't like being in this state of mind, because I as you know, I'm a massive fan of Lord of the Rings. They're my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
But I am still in that state of mind where I feel like not enough is happening.
Yeah,
now,
I agree.
In this episode, a lot did happen, and I actually thought the let's just say the more intense scenes were done very well. Comparable to sort of some of the best stuff that, well, in terms of direction and choreography, at least, it's some of the best. Comparable to Game of Thrones stuff, even though I know the Lord of the Rings pretty much invented it, but you could sort of sense the Game of Thrones.
I see what you mean. Like, they've watched Game of Thrones, they've kind of thought, okay, we can implement some of this in, and because Game of Thrones was such a big show, you can't not compare it, because they're on at the same time as well. Like, I haven't watched the most recent one, but like, you watch House of Fire, and then on the that's your Sunday/Monday, depending on if you're watching it on Internet Plus or on Sky or wherever, and then you get Rings of Power. So yeah, I agree with you. You can't not.
I already feel like the second season of Rings of Power is going to be substantially better than the first season.
Yeah, I feel like this is a tester. I feel like it's very much like, I feel like this will end with a certain, let's just say, bad guy being revealed, where or who, because I have speculations on who it is. But yeah, I do agree. I mean, and then I guess my last thing, because generally I have not watched a lot. That was literally the one thing that I've watched mainly. But I wanted just to briefly talk about the Last of Us trailer, because that shocked me. I know we spoke about it, not the last podcast, but the podcast before, I believe. And we all had our opinions, and they released. It was almost like they were watching the podcast, because they released the trailer in between. And I can say that I'm way more confident. It gave me goosebumps when I was watching it. I was like, wow. Although I am still skeptical on one thing, and it's no discredit to the actress, because I have seen some comments just on, like, again, scrolling through like Facebook, you see the trailer and you see comments. And I've seen a lot of people say Ellie doesn't look like Ellie. I for me, I don't really care about the look
Yeah,
because you're never gonna get an actress who looks like Joel. Pedro Pascal does not look exactly like Joel, but
Got to look similar, though, isn't he?
He looks similar. And Ellie, you could argue the actress, I forget her name, but she was in Game of Thrones.
Bella Ramsey, yeah.
Bella Ramsey, that's it. She definitely has, like, from seeing her acting, but I'm just a bit curious. That's the only thing, not just the only thing, but that's the major thing in my head, is that I wanna, because I think anyone who's played The Last of Us knows that when they played that game, Ellie is such, like, not only a badass, but the way that the lines are delivered and the acting. I just hope Bella Ramsey, and I fully think that she will. I think it's just being a bit skeptical, but I want to see Ellie channeled. It doesn't have to be exact, but I want to see Ellie channeled. I just don't want to see, oh, we watched Game of Thrones and she was badass, so we've just shoved her in this, which I doubt, but the trailer honestly was so good.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, this can be the last thing, but it's sort of I feel like what made that trailer work in comparison to the smaller trailer that we saw, because I feel like the smaller trailer, which was a part of a whole other
HBO, it was a HBO Max teaser for what's coming.
One of those things. I think that was kind of like, this is stuff from the video game that you saw. Let's just paste that into whatever, and I wasn't that satisfied with it. Whereas this, you could see that they were opening up the world and they were doing what the video game did spectacularly well, is that it was the world was revolved around the characters almost.
Yes.
And the emotions specifically of those characters. And because Last of Us is such a human game,
I completely
there was a
agree with
threat that the TV series wouldn't capture that. And I feel like this trailer actually sort of reassured me that would be stick to that. Obviously, we haven't seen the series
yet.
But I'm, you say, I'm more confident and more excited for it.
And again, sorry, my last point was, I'm watching the trailer. Obviously, we can all agree you can edit a good trailer and the film be shit or the series be shit. Equally, you can have a really bad trailer and people go, no, oh my God, you should watch this.
Yeah.
But the trailer was great. But the moment for me, and I know it'll be a moment that people probably in their heads will be like, yeah, that wasn't the moment for me. But my personal moment where I was like, I have so much faith in this, is when you see the two double buildings at night.
Yeah.
And I saw that imagery and I remember thinking, I remember playing this scene in the game and being shit scared playing it, being like, I have to be quiet. And and then obviously the clicker, I think a lot of people will talk about that, but like the clicker just looks amazing. So I have high hopes. And again, you've got Neil Druckmann, who is the director of the game and the writer and all that. He's producing this, and
you got Craig Mazin, who did Chernobyl.
Yeah, exactly. And Chernobyl
was got to be quite good then, isn't it?
This is what I'm thinking. But this trailer is giving me more faith, is what I'm saying. Like I'm not going to sit here now and be like, oh my God, it's amazing.
I don't think I want to watch the trailer yet. When's it out? Do you know?
It just says 2023. It just says 2023. But I imagine I wouldn't be surprised if it's a February release, a February-March release, because you know what I mean? Like, they look like they've shot it all now. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's an early 2023 sort of, like, still in the winter sort of thing.
Yeah.
I did touch upon what I did start last night. Other than Malignant, which I'll save for next week, right? Because I think that needs to be talked about. I did start the new kind of Game of Thrones thing last night.
Oh, House of Fire.
Yeah, House of the Dragon.
I actually,
House of Fire. It's the
same. I thought about correcting you.
Yeah, no. I did. When I said it, I did think I was wrong.
I really liked what I've seen so far. Not a lot's happened. Good. There's a dragon, but like, I quite enjoyed that. It certainly had a feel of the last one. I've watched an episode.
Oh, well, all I will say is when you get through, I won't say anything of it, but when you get through it, you will feel, it does feel more Game of Thrones. Like,
yeah, it had a feel of it, and it felt quite comfortable. And yeah, so I'll talk about it once I've done the series, I suppose. But yeah, I started it last night. I've been putting it off. I think there's 7 episodes now, something like that.
Yeah,
I
7
don't know.
episodes are out. I think there are 8 episodes in total.
Is it?
10?
So I'm probably timing
Yeah,
that
it's
right,
fine.
really. So
Yeah,
I'll be
maybe.
good. Enough.
Because Lord of the Rings only has 2. We got the second to last episode, which is episode
Yeah,
7.
because there have been 6 episodes out now, and I
And
think
then
there are
there's
2 more.
there's 8 altogether, but I'm not sure of House of the Dragon.
I felt like that was 8, but it might be 10 because that's Game of Thrones.
But
length, so.
also, and this is not a spoiler because it happens very quickly. But there are a lot of, as you know, there are a lot of time jumps in House of the Dragon, and I know that next episode they're doing another time jump.
Oh,
So
God.
yeah, there's a lot, but it's
that,
good. It's
consistent. I mean that was a bit of a problem. I was all right with House of the Dragon, but I feel like the time jumps kind of removed
the tension.
Yeah, an emotional attachment to certain characters. Well, I don't, it's by no means a bad series. I quite enjoy it as well, but it's sort of you kind of compare you can inevitably compare it to Game of Thrones, especially at its height. And with the time jumps, I just feel like the glory of Game of Thrones is how it gradually builds up that stuff. And I like that aspect to it. And with House of Dragon, it's like they accelerate through certain things.
To expand on that just briefly, really quickly, but like with Game of Thrones, especially the first 4 seasons, you would hear conflict and you'd be like, oh my God, I want this resolved next episode. You'd have to wait a season and a half and then it would suddenly be resolved or suddenly a big twist. Whereas this seems to, and if you know the story of House of the Dragon, I don't know if you both, I don't know you, and if you know the full
not
on.
really vaguely, but
Okay. So well, basically, there's a lot to cover. So I'm not surprised that they're there going like, oh, we want to add all these bits in, and we can skip on all the years that not too much happens. But I will agree, it's still Game of Thrones, and it gets more Game of Thrones, but it's not Game of Thrones. Nice. What did you watch, Ewan? Also,
too much.
Have you been on your?
Give me a second. I'm coming straight back.
Sure.
You doing your film festival stuff yet, Ewan? Or?
Yeah. I mean,
can you talk about something else? Because I want to hear this. I'll be literally 2 seconds. Sorry to everybody who's watching.
Sure.
I want to hear because I know you've gone recently to some festival stuff.
He's just going to take his skis off.
No, but I do want to hear what you've.
Okay,
watched.
fine.
So I'll be 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I might as well talk about. I saw Blonde, which is on Netflix at the moment.
Okay.
Very controversial film on all the social media channels and stuff. It's basically a kind of a fictionalized account of Marilyn Monroe. I thought it was a very good film. It's very twisted. It's very horrible in parts because the sort of filmmaker behind it, Andrew Dominic, sort of based on the Joyce Carol Oates book, he takes certain liberties with Monroe's story, and I think a lot of people don't like that because he puts in some quite provocative things in there. And it is shocking. I did watch it like genuinely feeling slightly nauseous at points, but I genuinely think it's a great film. Talking about Blonde, Lawrence, on Netflix.
I've heard that people. No, I haven't yet, but I did see a few comments saying and news articles that obviously here again. It's similar to the horror thing where they're like people couldn't watch past 20 minutes. I don't know if that is just my only question would be: is that because people are saying it's shit, or is that because people are saying it's hard to watch?
It's a bit, but I genuinely think. And I don't want to take it away if these are people's opinions, and if you couldn't watch the film, then that's fine. But I'm very skeptical of people who judge films and based on the fact that they have and that they have watched the entire film. And I've seen so many articles that are like, it's taken me 25 hours to watch this film. And I'm just like, how are you watching this film? And you're, people writing like genuine articles in like The Guardian and stuff. And, I understand why people hate this film. And a lot of the criticisms are valid. I mean, the main one seems to be that that it reduces Marilyn Monroe's life to nothing but sex and trauma. And that is actually a criticism that I have of the film as well. However, I think it's such a... I genuinely think it's a very powerful experience. It's very provocative. It's very anti-establishment in a weird way, because Andrew Dominic is just a director who doesn't give a shit. And even though that can be sort of polemic or controversial, contrarian to some, I actually find it quite refreshing. Even though the images that he's giving me are quite make me feel nauseous, I appreciate the fact that he's trying to do something different from everyone else. So I actually really like the film. So yeah, that was good. What did you want to know about the festival, Lawrence?
No, I just because I know like after uni and stuff, like you do attend like a lot of the festivals, and what I love about it is like obviously I'd love to go myself. Hopefully one day do really want to and like try and integrate into that. But what I love is getting your kind of first opinions, because it kind of sets me up to think like what should I keep my eye on, what should I watch, because some of them you'll mention.
No, I don't think Barbarian is showing at the festival. I think it's already on.
Because
what kind of festival is this?
This is
the London Film Festival.
Yeah, is this associated with the BFI?
Yeah, it's with the BFI. I've got to admit, I've only seen one film that's showing at the festival, and that's Triangle of Sadness, which won the Palme d'Or at Cannes this year. It's a very good film. It's a satire made by Ruben Östlund, who also did a film called The Square. He also did a film called Force Majeure, which is a great film. You should really check it out. But it's basically about loads of rich people on this luxury yacht. And it's basically like there's like social hierarchies on this yacht. So there's the rich people, the rich customers. There's the cabin crew who are like staffing everything. Then there's the chefs, and then there's the cleaners. And there's like a weird hierarchy. And it's a comedy in some ways. But there is a scene in the middle of this film. I won't ruin it, but it's one of the most nauseating and funny scenes I've seen in a while. Like comparable to Mr. Creosote in Meaning of Life. That kind of just that kind of vibe, except it's sort of I think it even goes further than Python, because it's so revolting, but it's also I couldn't stop laughing, and there are people like almost like dry retching behind me in the cinema because it's so horrible.
Watching it and just behind you, just
yeah, exactly. But I found it really fun, and it's obviously like I don't know, a sort of class satire on like rich versus poor and stuff like that. I do think it loses some of its weight in the last act, but I think because it's a 2.5 hour film, so it's quite long. But I think in general, it's a really funny, decent satire.
I want to. Oh, and Kev, if I may, once Ewan has finished, I'd like some dramatic music with what I'm going to say. If you have some on standby, as dramatic as you can. But yeah, Ewan, I want to hear what you think of Don't Worry, Darling. And before you go into it, I want to hear what you actually think. And same with you, Kev. I don't know if you heard some of this, but regardless of the film, I want to know what your opinion is on the whole Shia LaBeouf, because I know there are contradicting statements.
What's he done?
So he was meant to be in the film. And Olivia Wilde. Olivia Wilde cut him, or at least like fired him from set. And I don't know. I think he was replaced with Harry Styles, right? Or was he?
Yeah. Harry Styles replaced him.
And my first comment would be, my two questions in one, and then obviously want to hear what you thought. But what do you think of the, like, which side are you on of all of that? But also, do you think Harry Styles was better in the role, or do you think Shia LaBeouf would have been a better fit?
Well, this is an interesting point, because I actually think a lot of people have been criticizing Harry Styles' performance, and I to an extent I agree. I do think Shia LaBeouf is as problematic as he is. I think he is a better actor than Harry Styles.
He is great.
However, I think I quite like Harry Styles' placidity in that film. I think it kind of suits the character, because the whole point is that he is sort of blandly going along with the whole formula of whatever this world is. No spoilers, obviously. And I kind of think that suits Harry. Where it kind of falls down slightly is when he has to be aggressive or upset or stuff. I think Harry Styles isn't quite good enough to pull that off. But I think it was on main. I thought it was a decent performance and suited that role.
Yeah, he's an all right actor. He's not Oscar worthy, but like I saw his performance in Dunkirk and thought like, yeah, all right,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, I mean, with the whole replacement thing,
what film is this?
Don't Worry, Darling.
Is that the one with what's her name in?
Florence
Pugh. Again, very.
Well, that looks an interesting movie. I've only seen trailers, so
well, it got spoiled for me.
I really do.
Yeah, fucking Instagram. Whoever the fucker was, if I find out who you are, who posts.
Probably that prick Nick Cave, to be honest with you, mate.
In fact, I mean, I did give the film 4 stars for Koch Whisper, but a criticism I would have for the film
is that out of 10 or 5?
Out of 5. Okay. But I would say the twist is easy to guess as you're watching the film.
Yeah, you can kind of get it from the trailers a little bit.
Yeah, which is a downside, but I actually don't think it ruins the film. I think a lot of people get hung up on the fact that they guess the twist sort of halfway through, and I'm just like, yeah, but it's I don't know. I kind of like the world which they're setting up. A lot of people hate this film.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I think I posted it to you in the group chat. Like,
yeah,
I saw like the Rotten is like 36.
Yeah, 36 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but
I'm not sure.
And you know, a lot of critics I know really don't like the film either. But I actually really enjoyed it for what it was. And I thought it was very entertaining. I thought it was very thrilling. I liked the general message about it. And it kind of fits into what I like in a lot of stories, is that whole aspect of questioning reality, basically. And even though it's been done so many times before, I still, I don't know, I really like that kind of philosophical approach to filmmaking. And even though it's easy to guess, I still really enjoyed it. And there's a slightly Lynchian angle to it as well, which I quite appreciated. But yeah, I enjoyed the film.
What does it end? Does it end with all of them getting on a boat and then literally just like we're driving
into the night.
Don't worry, everyone, we're driving into the night.
But no, I enjoyed Don't Worry, Darling, and I thought it was better than Nope, to be honest.
but that's the thing. Like,
you're having a laugh.
I
love Nope.
I know, so same here. But the thing is like I haven't seen this film yet, and yes, the fucker on Instagram who posted a bunch of pictures of the ending and spoilers. I was a bit like, yeah, okay, but I would have liked to have seen that. But I'm still gonna watch it. But yeah, for me, I think like I've heard a lot of people compare like, oh, which is better, Nope or this? And for me, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I won't go into it now, but like, there's a lot of criticism of Nope, and it's not a thing of like personal opinion of like, did you like it? Oh, I didn't like it, whatever. That's fine. But I see a lot of criticism of Nope being like, oh, it's boring. And to me, I sit there and go like, well, you know, Midsummer, Hereditary, The Lighthouse, The Witch, some of my favorite films that I've heard people say these are boring. Like The Witch, we spoke about that, and they're like, "Oh, The Witch is boring." I didn't understand what they said, and it's like, well, fucking pay attention.
Like,
I don't know.
Pay attention, don't they? You're a fucking idiot if you're not. So sit there and watch it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It ain't that difficult to get your head around, to be honest.
No, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Obviously, opinions are subjective.
The Lighthouse, yeah, I'll get it. But like,
did you hear that? Sorry,
it's Batman in a lighthouse. Oh,
it's Batman in the lighthouse. Did you hear though that Anya Taylor-Joy is not going to be in Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, which has surprised me. I thought,
who's the character?
Lily Rose Depp, who's Johnny Depp's daughter.
Bill Skarsgård.
She was amazing in what was the? Is it?
Was it? She was in
one of those two films. So she was in.
She was in a Kevin Smith film called I think
the
Yoga
Kevin
Hose
Smith, two of them.
Yeah,
Yoga
Hose.
I haven't seen it, but
amazing.
She's also in Sam Levinson's new TV show. The guy who did Euphoria. She's in the same one. Larry goes to bed. Jess has just.
I know. I know. I should.
You got
Can
to
I-
be up early, Larry. What time you got to be up?
Woof.
Oh, what time?
That's
Something
all
like
I'm saying.
3 a.m.,
Woof.
isn't it?
No, not 3 a.m.
I got to be up
No.
at 6. So
Oh, no. Okay, so it's late. It's later than that. So I'm all right.
you
This
sure?
sounds like a counselling session. Like,
Are you sure, Larry?
I'm okay.
I got to be up at 6.
Okay. Can I have my dramatic music? Because
I don't know what music I've got, so I'm going to try and give you
Just-
something
yeah,
a little
something of-
dramatic. I don't know. I'm just going to press a button and I'm going to see what's going to happen. Here we go.
Okay, this is very chill. I don't know if this suits what I'm going to say, but hey ho,
Right,
we'll
one
go
more,
with it.
one
Okay,
more.
okay. Sure. Sure, we'll go with this one.
It's like with a Final Fantasy
Here
game.
we go.
Sure. This is so
Yeah.
upbeat.
Uh,
Yeah,
come on,
sounds like
start
I'm gonna start, no, I was gonna say it looks like I'm gonna start a rap.
Start rapping, man.
No.
Come on.
Okay, no, give me somber music. Give
Give
me
it to me,
sad.
mate.
Give me sad. Give me sad. Like, give me something. No, I don't remember.
Oh, hang on.
that film.
It's the last one I've got.
I'm in Skyrim. Okay, fuck it. We'll just go with this. Me and Rhea were on YouTube, and we were having a little look through some YouTube videos, and a trailer came up, and the trailer was for this new Netflix film called The Watcher. Now, I don't know if any of you know, but The Watcher is a very, very infamous true story, and the true story is quite terrifying. I watched the trailer, and Rhea, bearing in mind, knows a bit of the story, I believe, and we were talking about it beforehand, and we put it on. And when we watched the trailer, I was heartbroken to the point where I am furious because this is why I wanted you to do this, because it leads in with this thing with the Conjuring, and not the first one specifically, but with the other ones. with the following one specifically, such a change of mood. With the following one specifically, as we were talking about earlier, I find that a lot of films these days take a true story and they add shit in just to make it appealing. And I would implore people to just go on YouTube, type the documentary, type in the story, and watch the story. And
there's also a good article about the whole story, which I haven't read all of, but I read some of, and it did really, really scare me. It's good.
Yeah, and the film seems to be going down that direction of let's add stuff in to make it more scary.
I think it's a series, Lawrence. I think it's a series.
Yeah,
developed by none other than Ryan Murphy, if I understand it rightly, who is recently getting shit for his new Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix. So
I cannot comment. I can't comment on that. I am interested to watch that. I've seen a lot of people say, give it a watch. Evan Peters I like, but I will give you my review of it, even if I have to sit through all of the episodes. But I said to Rhea, I think my words were, how does a studio fuck something where the story is on paper for you to literally copy and paste?
Yeah.
So I'm interested. Stay tuned for my review of that hot piece of shit.
I look forward to it. Brilliant.
Not dramatic, but still.
Like Aquarian music.
Oh no, be careful. Oh wait, no! Isn't this copyrighted?
Right.
This is no. That was The Weeknd, wasn't it?
Save your tears. Yeah.
Yeah, The Weeknd.
Driving Twin Peaks or something.
There's
Yeah,
some weird stuff on
Jesus.
there, I have to say. But is that all we got to talk about? Because we're 1
Yes.
hour and
I would say so.
34 minutes in, and I've got to be up in a minute. Thanks for those who stuck with it for an hour and 34 minutes. Next week we're back with The Conjuring 2, which is a Larry favourite and mine too. I'm not sure. You've seen that, Ewan? You must have done.
Yeah, I mean, at the time when I saw it, I preferred it to the first one, but I'll see what will happen when I watch it again.
I
like.
don't think I will be here.
Oh.
So I will
just
just give
go
you my
on.
hot. I'll give you just my hot
Can you
take
not
in
lock
30
them
seconds.
down?
Shit. How fucking did you ruin a film that's on paper? You fucked it. Just sit in a corner and just debate life choices. What the fuck? I know they were such sights and they were shown to me and they hurt me.
I want you to meet my colleague, Dr. Hamilton.
And I'd like you
Yes.
to get the fuck out of here.
It's all
Get out of here.
This is what I was saying while it was on. I was just like,
right.
get the fuck out of here.
Dan's hot pick is Tumbad. So
Yes.
if that's how you say it, and I think you'd enjoy it, both of you. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's the Bones Horror Pod. Instagram's Bones Horror Pod. If you want to email us, it's the Bones Horror Pod @gmail.com, and Facebook can go fuck itself. So like, we are back next week with episode 95, The Conjuring 2. Larry sadly won't be with us.
I'll be able to watch and comment, but
He will be in spirit.
Allegedly from
skiing
mediums.
in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Skiing down the canals of
Spirit of the
Amsterdam.
Dam.
I'm going to France like the weekend of Halloween, which is a bit I was looking forward to
'Cause
doing an episode. I won't be around because I'll be in France. So
Oh, aren't you back? I swear, didn't you say
I'm
you?
back on the 31st, which is the Monday.
We could always save it to the Monday.
And I might be having a party, but yeah, we can do it.
Just
I normally
watch
have a
it.
Halloween. We normally have a Halloween party, and you're all welcome, obviously. But normally there's like 15 kids from our football team all come along and dress up, and I just scare people as Michael Myers. As you can see, one of those masks will be going on. I'm not sure which one, but one of them will be going on.
We didn't ask Ewan. I don't know if
What?
you watched all of the episodes, but and again, if you're on next, if people are watching next podcast, you should comment in what you're going to dress up as. But we all said what our preferred, like if you not necessarily are you going to, but if you could. Mine was the Mandalorian.
Right. So this is if we could, in terms of fashion.
If you were dressing
Halloween.
up for Halloween, if like let's just pretend you're going to like a gathering and they're like you have to dress up. What are you dressing up as?
Oh, I know. The massive flowery slug thing that Florence Pugh wears at the end of Midsummer.
Oh,
You know, the whole covering,
that'd be
the flower
amazing.
thing. That would be.
Are you going to
great.
do the crying face as you come
Yeah.
in, just like
That'd be good.
Have that.
Nice.
So
nice.
thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again in the future. Maybe next week with The Conjuring 2. See you later on. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
Conjuring 2 is shit. Get out. Don't watch it. Just leave. Don't watch it.
Are we still live?
We are still live. Don't watch it. We're still going. Don't watch it. Just go. Run.
Go on. Keep going.
Oh, just stick with the first one. Just